knows there's a place for us where we could go, where we could be alone. Between city lights, we don't have to hide. I wanna go, do you wanna follow? There's something in the air, I can't explain it, but it's there. Ain't nobody gonna find us in our secret love affair. I don't wanna have to hide no more, it shouldn't be unfair. I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? I can't understand why we can't hold hands, but they don't know what we have is real love. Aren't you sick and tired of having to hide? I know a place, do you wanna follow? There's something in the air, I can't explain it, but it's there. Ain't nobody gonna find us in our secret love affair. I don't wanna have to hide no more, it shouldn't be unfair. I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow?
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Livestream. Oh, ouch! I cut the end of the song off there. I always forget that if I change out of the scene, the song stops playing. It was almost over, but I just missed the little tss at the end, and now it just like a sneeze that you didn't quite get out. Well, anyway, I guess it's going to be all right. Welcome to the Livestream. I'm very happy that you're here with me. I don't know if you saw at the beginning. Sometimes I put something on my right hand screen as just a joke, but I was just watching Chris. I wasn't just putting Chris Rosser on stream as a joke at the beginning of the stream to be simping for him. Oh, Chris, no. We were just watching his latest video about what causes prop wash and how Betaflight Dynamic Idle can help. Very interesting. Very interesting. I just left a, I stopped using, I made a tutorial about Betaflight Dynamic Idle, and I stopped using it after I made the tutorial about it, and a lot of times when I make the tutorials, they consist of me reading all the things that the people like the devs and Mark Spatz say. Am I centered up? And then I try it on my quads, and I maybe talk to some people, and then I make a tutorial more or less translating what the devs say to thing. My role is to sort of be a translator of technical stuff to stuff that people can understand and follow. And but I tried Dynamic Idle after making that tutorial on some of my builds, and I just ended up like I turned dmin off as well, dynamic determ. I turn a lot of those dynamic features off because my experience is that a lot of times a quad will fly better. it's easier to deal with how quad flies in the PID tuning with the dynamic features off. Now, I don't turn all the dynamic features off. For example, iTerm Relax is massively useful and important and works very well, and I would never turn it off. Dynamic iTerm is so important. But the dynamic idle, for all the benefits it has in theory, when you hear somebody like me or Chris talk about it, in practice I found that it was difficult. Let's just say that it was difficult to tune correctly, and that just setting your idle speed correctly was simpler and produced good results. And I got that feedback. I also noticed that there didn't seem to be a consistent message from the devs about how to tune dynamic idle. And that was, I mean, I haven't looked back at it in the last few months, but if the devs can't agree on how to do it, somewhere out there the devs are like, what are you talking about? Yes, of course there was. That was my perception anyway. But maybe somebody like Chris can make it make sense. Who knows? The other thing I was going to say is that people who tried it, some of them were like, oh, this made a big difference. Others were like, nah, it didn't work for me. So, it's tough. Yeah. Welcome to the live stream. We're talking about dynamic idle as an open to the live stream. Very nice. Oh. Quaddy 2000 thinks I should be the official XpressLRS hardware compatibility guy. Yeah. Oh, there it is, right behind me on the table. There it is. The beta FPV XpressLRS module that caused so much controversy this week. Yeah. Well, do you want to talk about it? Because, yeah. Because I said that Beta FPV XpressLRS module was an example of the biggest problem with XpressLRS. And I think that a lot of people read that as this is the XpressLRS devs' fault. And they defended. They were like, the XpressLRS devs aren't responsible for that. They're not. I never said they were. I don't think I did. The XpressLRS devs are not responsible for the hardware that other manufacturers make. Some manufacturers work with the devs and produce better hardware. Some manufacturers don't work with the devs and just throw stuff out there, and maybe it has problems. But I said that it was a problem with XpressLRS, and specifically a problem with XpressLRS from a user's perspective, which is who I usually speak for. Users. Because, yeah. A lot of people still didn't seem to get it. I don't know. Does that mean when you continually say something and people don't get it, are they misunderstanding, or are you miscommunicating, or are you just wrong? If only there was a way to answer that question. I guess I'll just move on. I made an update video that went through the argument again, so I don't want to just have you guys. I think, let's say this. Despite the dumb things that I think happened in that module, like the joystick that isn't a joystick, or that going into the menu failsafes the link, despite that, it does look like a fairly well-made module. It does look like a fairly well-made module, and I think with the right firmware situation, it'll sort itself out. So, this new Naminmo module also has a screen, and is looking really good. So, and I will also say, that is a good point. Beta FPV put out an amazing response, and kudos to them. Like, in my mind, they made this kind of communication makes so much of a difference. Let's see if I can actually get Instagram to... Instagram won't come up on my desktop. For real? I have two-factor on my Instagram, apparently. Go figure. Where's my Authenticator app? I was going to show you their response, but I have to log into Instagram. Here we go. It takes all of my self-control to not read the number from the app out as I type it in, but that would be a bad idea. Let's see here. Yeah, Beta FPV put out this great response. So I'm not going to read it all to you. You can go to Beta FPV Instagram to read it if you want. But my point is just that they addressed in great detail some of the criticisms, not all, but some of the criticisms that other people made about the electrical design. Like Jai, I think it was, who criticized the capacitors they're using. And they said, well, here's why we did it. And they showed data. And the criticisms about the temperature, they showed data and defended their choices. And again, without digging too deep into the argument, which I don't think is a good use of the live stream's time, I thought that this kind of response shows that they're listening to the criticism. It shows that they are thinking about the decisions that they make and so forth, and is a great step. So good for you, Beta FPV. Anyway, welcome to the live stream. Welcome to the live stream, everybody. Here's what we got going on. Here is my main screen. I will be reading your comments here in the chat. If you want to make sure I get your comment, hit the $, leave a super chat. We've already got some super chats coming in, and I will be reading those super chats a little bit later in the stream. Hit the $, throw a couple bucks at me. Leave a super chat if you want to make sure I get your message. In the meantime, I'll just be taking whatever catches my eye. Whatever catches my eye, you know. Tracer for the win. Shut up. Which version do you like best? Have you seen the 900 megahertz version? All the Express LRS stuff I deal with is 2.4 gigahertz. 900 megahertz Express LRS is only if you just absolutely need the maximum range possible. 2.4 gig is where it's at. Pardon me. Why is 2.4 gig where it's at? Number one, because the antennas are smaller and easier to deal with, and that's nice. Number two, in 2.4 gig, you can get the ceramic antennas, which are very, very nice and compact. Number three, Number three, 2.4 gigahertz is a global band, which means that people in other countries don't have to deal with, like in the EU, the 868 band is very small. And if you have to, like, if you're using Crossfire, then depending on which country you're in, you have to switch bands. Whereas in 2.4 gigahertz, it's the same all around the world. Number five, the 2.4 gigahertz band is much wider, which means you can have more pilots in the air at the same time without interference. Whereas especially in Europe, if you have too many 900 megahertz pilots, and I'm talking about like 3 or 4, then you have to start doing interference mitigation, like turning off telemetry or reducing output power, etc. 2.4 gigahertz has all these advantages. They are small advantages for many people, but the only advantage that 900 megahertz has is increased range and penetration due to its lower frequency, and 2.4 gigahertz has far, far more range and penetration than most people need. At that point, you may as well just go with it because of its small advantages. So I stick to 2.4 gig. If you choose to go with 900 megahertz, I have no reason to believe there'll be any issues that are not specific to 900 meg. But does Naminmo solve the backpack problem on their new OLED modules? Vittorio Locatelli. Vittorio, my understanding is that they recalled the first batch of modules, which was a relatively small number. I don't know if they even got sold to the public. They may have, I don't know. And they will be fixing the issue. I think some of them did get out to the public because they said, look, if you're not planning on using the FPV backpack, then don't worry about it. So that suggests that some people got them. Is the Nazgul Evoke a good starter quad? Asks Meepo Deep. It is a great starter quad. The only problem with the Nazgul Evoke is that it's a 5-inch. It's very powerful. I mean, like most quads in its class, it is an extremely powerful and agile. And if it's your very first quad, you must put a lot of time into the simulator in order to be able to handle it, or you will just immediately crash it and destroy it. But it is a great quad. Michael Blade FPV just wants to know, how's it going? It's going good. It's going good. Marcin Samocha says, does using the TBS Unify Pro, should I fly 800 milliwatts? Yeah, crank it up. Crank it up. Turn them all up. I'm on 400 now, but what if I need 600? Well, you can't just set it to arbitrary output power. You can set it to 400 or 800, but if it doesn't support 600, it doesn't. But if you're flying by yourself, just crank it up. Who cares? The only reason to turn the output power of a VTX down is to avoid interference with adjacent people who are also flying. By the way, I'm so sorry. I got so distracted by your questions that I forgot to say these beautiful people on the right side of my screen are my patrons. How could I not thank them? Would you like to hang out with these wonderful, wonderful sausages? Look how great this. Look at the memes. Look at the memes. This dog alone is worth joining my Patreon to get to hang out on the Discord with these lovely people. And if you want to be one of them, you can sign up on my Patreon. That's how you get here. Welcome, guys. Welcome. Join us. All right. Now, join us. All right. I always like to give them their 30 seconds of fame before we get on with the stream. I really undersell my Discord, says MK. I mean, I try not to be too, despite the fact that I'm constantly begging you to sign up to my Patreon and use my affiliate links, I try not to be too self-promoting. MK, why don't you promote what do you like about my Discord? Anyway. Why do I never talk about thunder power batteries? Asks Beto Lorca. In my humble opinion, they're the best. I don't know. I don't talk about batteries a lot, do I? The thunder power battery that stands out to me is the Mr. Steel Lunar Lander, which is a very lightweight battery with great with an honest milliamp hour. For a battery of that milliamp hours, it's stunningly light and somehow still manages to deliver its rated milliamp hours. I mean, usually when I shop for batteries, I'm buying budget batteries. I'm not. I mean, there definitely are things that I spend a lot of money on, and I'm like, yeah, whatever. I'm just balling. But batteries, when I buy batteries, I usually would rather get like a $25 battery than a $45 or a $50 battery. That's like pretty much all I fly, and I haven't had problems with them. So that's what I talk about. I usually am not, like a racer who demands to be able to go at 100% for 2 minutes straight without sagging out. That's just where I'm at. GMI Visual says JB's Discord saved my marriage. I no longer have to talk to her about FPV. That's yeah, whatever I can think, whatever you can think, whatever you like. All right, let's get some of these super chats. Riet9, thank you for 420 Australian. What a strange amount, but all right, sure. Whatever you Australians are up to. Riet says the sound pack is awesome. Hey, someone in the Discord, throw me a link to the sound pack. So I recorded a sound pack for OpenTX. It is still in beta, if you will. Like, I don't know if the sound files have gone through denoising and normalization. Like, I haven't even downloaded it and checked it. I just sat down and recorded it, and then someone put it up. It is up it's up on GitHub, on one of my patrons' GitHub. You can download these. Oh, I see. You can even download the raw file. Jeez. Well, that's amazing. So, wow. How about that? These guys have put a ton of work. So basically what I did was I just duplicated all of the existing OpenTX files and EdgeTX files. And then I recorded a couple more extra things that I thought were cute that I thought people would want. But basically, I'm willing to do whatever. If you guys have requests for... Where's the README? README, added voice line requests. Yeah, if you guys have requests for lines you'd like included in a voice pack, submit them. You can sign in on GitHub and leave a comment to request them. Or if you're on Discord, you can request them. But probably the best thing to do is to just... Let me sign in here. Can I sign in easily? Let's see if I can do that. Sign in. There we go. GitHub. Sign in. Okay, now that I'm signed in, like I can go to readme.md. Can I leave a comment? How can I leave a comment? Added voice line requests. Commit. How can I leave a comment? Yeah, can I do it like right here? I don't know. If you want to leave a comment for voice requests and so on, then by all means, do it. And I will just continue to expand this. Also, if you are an expert at audio processing and you're like, oh, hey, I could make this better with some EQ or whatever, by all means, that's the beauty of it being an open source GitHub project. Use issues. Oh, there you go. That's the way to do it. Thank you. Thank you very much, IDV. IDV is the actual owner of this GitHub. Yeah, so if you want to submit a voice line, go to issues and do new issue and then be like, you know, request, have JB say F you or whatever and submit a new issue. And then I'll go back and I'll add them and we could just keep this rolling, right? We could just keep this rolling. James Who says, let's hope JB does not use voice authentication someplace. I am a goner. My voice is... Anyone with a little bit of access to some AI could easily make my voice say whatever they want. My voice is my password. What's that from? My voice is my passport. Sneakers. There you go. Sneakers. My voice is my passport. Yeah. My name is Werner Brandis. My voice is my passport. So, yeah, let's keep that rolling. So this is I'm basically leaking this right now because I'm not 100% sure it's ready yet for general release. But at the same time, it's sort of open source and in the works. So if you guys want to start testing it out, finding problems, any requests for improvements, just leave them as an issue. We will work on it and continue to make it better. So, yeah. Hundreds of tickets incoming from people requesting JB say F you. Yeah. IDV says it's ready. Well, it's ready. Are you sure? Is it really ready? Is it ready though? Releases. Latest release. I haven't checked it yet. No link. Oh, I got to give you guys the link. Sorry. Boring. There's the link. Sorry, guys. What the hell? There is a release. Yeah, IDV says there is a release. Yeah, but like, did you, like, Ghost Branch said he was going to try to run it through Isotope to denoise it. Is that all done? Is it like done for real? All right. Miguel T, thank you for a $5 super chat. What is the best way to secure a UFL antenna? I've tried everything, but they all eventually fail. Miguel T, I don't have one to show you, like, on stream, but here's what I do with all my UFL antennas. The UFL is here at the edge of the board, right? And the antenna comes off. I turn it around 180 degrees so the wire runs back over the board. And then I'll use some Kapton tape or maybe a zip tie to hold it down. Okay? That's what I do. I do that on all of them. Now, there's a couple gotchas. One of the gotchas is if you put too much pressure on the UFL, too close to the UFL, it will pop it. It'll pop it off. You have to like zip tie or tape it down with a little bit of slack. You follow? You don't want to stress the UFL itself. You want to have the wire come off the UFL and then be taped or zip tied down. The other thing is that on some devices, specifically the Ghost Hybrid, I had this problem. If you turn the UFL the wrong way, the metal body of the UFL connector can touch like a capacitor on the board. And in my case, it was causing the Ghost Hybrid to power down. And it took me forever to figure it out. I literally replaced the Ghost Hybrid thinking it was bad. I put a 5-volt regulator on the quad thinking the 5-volt regulator was bad. The Ghost Hybrid kept powering down, and I was in the process of screwing with it, and I touched the UFL connector, and it powered down. And I was like, whoa, how? And I figured out that the metal body of the UFL connector was touching a capacitor, and basically I just turned it 25 degrees the other direction and taped it down, and it was good. So that's what I do. And it works like all the time, because you definitely like the alternative is like you can get like the TBS Unify with the screw down, the little brass metal bar and the 2 screws on either side. And now Sharkbite has started doing it as well. And that works extremely well. It does. I do think that there's some advantage to doing it my way, because my way puts the stress on the wire and doesn't stress the connector at all. Whereas if you screw down the connector, you can still stress that. Anyway, you can still stress that. Liquid electrical tape, Athix says it will work. I don't love using liquid electrical tape because rework is a little bit of a hassle. You got to peel it off, maybe use alcohol. Personally, I would fold it back and I would use tape or zip tie. But the key thing is turn it around 180 degrees and then tape the wire down, and you won't have any problem. ZW wants a link for the Discord server. You got to be a patron. The link is in my in the video description below. There's a link to my Patreon page. Join up and you can join the Discord server. It's very exclusive. Thank you so much for Snoopy in the Discord. He is sharing this photo. This is what I'm talking about, 100%. So this is how you save your UFL connectors. Just to do this, and then either zip tie. So like if you've got like double-sided tape holding this to your top plate, then you would just zip tie around the whole thing, and it would hold the VTX down and it would hold the UFL. But you're going to want to, don't zip tie like right here. Hang on a second. Let me show you what I mean. In case it's not freaking obvious. Like a lot of people are like, we get it, Bardwell. Just to make sure that we're on the same page. So don't zip tie like, hello? Can I have? What am I doing? There we go. So don't zip tie there, because that's going to put pressure on this connector and maybe pop it off. But rather zip tie like here, except the problem there is that you're going to zip tie over the button, so don't do that. Maybe just cover the whole thing in tape. Or if you do zip tie, you'd want to zip tie like here, right? But tape will work too. And then you're going to want to make sure that like right here, you don't have contact between this capacitor and the metal. That's going to be a problem. Anyway, there you go. That's it. I think you get it. Alrighty. Wrap it and capped on tape. That's actually what I do most of the time. That's what I do. Beto Lorca, thank you for 1090 Brazilian reais. No question, just a donation. Thank you so much. And Sandrino Belpondo, thank you for €5. What is the best budget radio for simulators? I wish I could say that it was the Beta FPV Lite radio. I want it to be the Beta FPV Lite radio, which runs about $40. The hardware quality is so hit or miss. I feel like if I were to recommend the Beta FPV light radio at $40, the next radio up that I would recommend is the Jumper T Light, which is closer to $80. So in theory, that means that if the light radio is at least half as good as the T Light, then you should buy the light radio. You follow? I think a lot of people spending $80 on a T Light just for simulator use will find that to be undesirable. But I do think that the T Light is more than twice as good as the Beta FPV, just in terms of its build quality. So the average person should probably spend $80 on a T Light. But if you were to spend $40 on a Beta FPV light radio, with the understanding that it's a little bit of a dice roll, whether you're going to get a bad one, many people would be happy with that decision. Buy a secondhand QX7. Not bad. Not a bad idea. Not a bad idea. I would probably recommend the T-Light if you're buying new. Yeah. Anyway. I mean, shouldn't you just buy a nice radio for yourself and then use it on the simulator? Rob Axelson says, my Beta FPV controller uses OpenTX. Should I upgrade to EdgeTX to eliminate the latency? Yes. If you use a simulator at all, you should be running EdgeTX if you possibly can. 100%. There are some settings you can do in the Tango and the Mambo to minimize the latency, even though they can't run EdgeTX. I'm actually going to make a video about that soon. But if you have any radio that can run EdgeTX and you use simulators, upgrade to EdgeTX right now. I've been doing these simulator live streams with Blunty, and the difference in feel is incredible. It's incredible. The latency is so noticeable. I mean, some people would argue that it's placebo, but bite the bullet and get a good radio. Yeah, I mean, I assume the question is for someone who is buying a radio specifically just to sit at their desk and use on the computer, that they already have a good radio. In that case, you want something, yeah, inexpensive. AI, thank you for $2.79 Canadian. Points out that the JBF7 manual from Race Day Quads is not working. Well, that's weird. Let's go take a look real quick. A manual. See below. What the hell? Okay. I will real quick ping. Quick ping Race Day Quads about that. That certainly is a problem. That's Justin Kramer, I think, right? Is it Justin Kramer? Who is that? I believe that's, yeah, it's Justin. Okay, we'll get that fixed ASAP. We'll get that fixed ASAP. Radiomaster TX12 for $50. Is that true? Is that true? Is it really $50? No, it's not $50. Where can you get a TX12 for $50? It's $90. No. I don't think. Maybe it was $50 once upon a time. I don't think it is. So I don't think that's right. Renchi308 says, I can't get my Radiomaster switches to work on Velocidrone. Are they supported? Renchi, you need to manually assign the switches in the mixer screen to an aux channel. So I believe that aux channels 1, 2, 3, and 4, that's channels 5, 6, 7, and 8. I am sure that they will work. And maybe more than that, but at least the first 4 aux channels will definitely work. But you need to go into the mixer screen and assign the switch to the aux channel in the radio before it'll be picked up by the computer. That's probably what's happening, Renshi. Martin Wynn says 50 pounds, not $50. There you go. 50 pounds may be true. I don't know what that is in dollars. I'm guessing it's $80 or $90. El Bartanox says, when a Black Box Explorer function that lets you sync and export gyro data GoPro GPMF file for RealSteady, are they afraid not to sell GoPro? I don't know what... El Bartanox, I'm pretty sure that exists. So check this out. If we go look at this, so this is a project. I actually just literally yesterday made a video about this. It'll be coming out on my channel soon. This is a project called GyroFlow, which is a free video stabilization tool. And it uses black box data. It uses black box data, literally your black box data, along with your video to stabilize your video. So, for example, this, hang on, this is the output of GyroFlow. It doesn't have to look like this. This is just showing what's going on. This is my DJI DVR, and it should be cropped in, but I exported it like this so you could see what was going on. So don't think that this distortion at the edges is normal. But this is stabilization of my DJI DVR using my black box gyro data. That's what the GyroFlow program can do. It's pretty freaking cool. And you can see it working as this outer edge sort of fiddles around. Regardless, that's not actually what you asked for, though. But I just wanted to show this because I think it's so dang cool. What you asked for, though, was the ability to use RealSteady Go with your black box data. So there's the utility here. I'm going to put a link in the video description. There's a utility here. What this will do is take your black box data and stuff it into your video file so that you can use RealSteady Go as if the file came from a GoPro. Okay? So that exists. It's not Black Box Viewer, but it does exist. The tool that you're asking for does exist. Mr. D says, I tried GyroFlow. It didn't work too well for me. Yeah, the thing with GyroFlow is that you have to sync the gyro data to the video, and if the sync is not super precise, then the stabilization is not super good. That's the challenge with GyroFlow. It's still pretty good, though. I mean, if you can get it to work for you, it works pretty good. I used the auto sync, and it seemed to work okay a lot of the time. Anyway, it's free, and you can try it, and if it doesn't work, then, you know, you only lost your time. So, anyway, there you go. Mouse FPV wants to know the app to get the sticks out of a black box log to overlay. That is made by Bastian Sonderman. And it is right here. Here's the sticks exporter. Is that in the YouTube chat? That's the utility I use to export the sticks. Now that is, where's the 3D sticks exporter? He's also got the 3D one. There we go. There's also a 3D one, which has a little, well, it doesn't have any pictures or anything, but it exports the sticks as 3D graphics. And then I'm pretty sure he also has a website. Where's his website? I don't know about that. There's a website he made as well. Maybe it's linked over here on bastiansonderman.web.de. Oh, no, that's his email. Never mind. Mechanicern wants to know, what's the latency on the FreeSky USB adapter? So I don't know what that latency is for sure. The issue with USB latency and OpenTX is related to the USB port, not to the JR Bay or the RF module. So I would think that the latency of this, I mean, I'm guessing, is this a D16? It says EU LBT, so it has to be D16 because I don't think that D8 has that problem. D8's not legal in the EU. So this is going to be a D16 ACCST protocol, which means it is going to have similar latency to a D16 connection. Presumably, the USB interface will add a small amount of latency. So I would guess that it has similar latency to a D16, but with a little bit extra. But probably not great, but because D16 has not great latency, but probably not awful, because D16 is not awful. The thing is, those wireless links, USB will always have the best latency because it's pure wired. Some of the fastest wireless links start to get close to USB latency, but when properly implemented, USB will have the best latency. So you should always be direct wired if you care about latency. What's the latency of D8 or D16? I think I have. No, hang on. I have something about that. All right, here we go. What is the latency? So I have this old video, this old document from Google Drive. I didn't make this. Someone else made this. And I just keep this in my Google Drive. What's the latency of FreeSky D16? It varies. But here we've got D16 XSR with F port. Hang on, no. OpenTX D16 XSR, RXSR, F port. Where's S-Bus? Why are they all using F port? Well, all right, fine. F port does have a little bit better latency. So here is a Tyrannus with OpenTX D16 protocol, RXSR, F port, average latency 26 milliseconds. Here's S-Bus, got it. OpenTX D16 RXSR S-Bus, 27 milliseconds, roughly. So, and that is that 8 channel or 16 channel? I think that's 16 channel. If you run it in 8 channel, I think you cut it in half. So there's a latency distribution for you. Yeah, there you go. Any news about OpenTX moving forward, asks L. Leston, or should we consider the project dead? L. Leston, I would not say that OpenTX is dead, okay? I don't think that's true. I think that development is ongoing. I think that they are moving slower. I mean, that's just an observation. You can just look at their releases and you can look at their merges and you can see that they are slower in terms of the number of releases, in terms of the significance of the releases and the features in the releases. OpenTX has slowed down. That's not inherently a bad thing. A project that is a little more stable and a little slower moving can be good. I don't think that the project is dead. And I wouldn't say that. What I will say is that if we look at other open source projects, like we could look at Betaflight, the way that it sometimes goes is the established project stagnates, because what ends up happening is the bigger the user base, the more careful you have to be about rolling out changes. The more pressure there is on you to keep your users happy, to not annoy them with frequent updates and frequent feature changes, to make sure you don't rush something out that has a bug. When you have 20 users and 18 of them are devs, If you push something out that has a bug, yeah, screw it, right? You all know what you're doing. When you have 200,000 users, suddenly there's pressure there, and you start slowing down. You feel that pressure and that responsibility. That doesn't happen in every case, but it is a thing that often happens with open source projects. So if you look at CleanFlight, there were things that Boris B. and others, but Boris B. certainly is the sort of the visible figurehead, if you will, of the Betaflight split. There were things that Boris wanted to do, things like gyrosync, things like a freaking low pass on the D term, and changes to the PID controller. Y'all remember when CleanFlight had 3 different PID controllers and you could pick one of them, which one you liked best? Yikes. Now we only have... I remember when we switched to just one PID controller, and it was like, oh, wow. Oh, what a thing. We're losing all these options. There were things that Boris wanted to do, and Dominic Clifton, the major maintainer, the lead developer of CleanFlight, was slow to implement those things for all the reasons that I talked about. And so they made Betaflight. And what happened? Eventually, Betaflight took over. The users switched to Betaflight. The users said, this is where we want to be. And now, to this day, CleanFlight is not dead. Dominic Clifton still maintains CleanFlight. And there are some features of CleanFlight that are specifically, unique to it, mostly features that relate to Dominic Clifton's SP Racing flight controllers. But CleanFlight is mostly now sort of Dominic Clifton's dev environment. This is my perception. Others may disagree. But it's mostly his kind of dev environment for the SP Racing flight controllers. I don't think there's a lot of people out there who are like, yeah, screw Betaflight, I'm going to fly CleanFlight. And if they are, I'm not sure what their motivation really is there. Sorry, Dominic. So what we may see happen with EdgeTX is we may see that the users decide that EdgeTX is where they want to be. And the user base of EdgeTX may grow to the point where EdgeTX becomes the new de facto standard. And at that point, will OpenTX be dead? It kind of doesn't matter. Because if no one's using it, the fact that devs are still working on it, it basically becomes that now the OpenTX devs would be sort of submitting pull requests to the EdgeTX project instead of the other way around. So right now what you've got is the EdgeTX devs are developing all these new features, and some of them are being submitted back to OpenTX as pull requests, and some of them are being accepted and some are not. Some of them are being merged and some are not. The more that EdgeTX diverges from OpenTX, the more we get into a situation where there's a chance for EdgeTX to sort of take over and be the new dominant thing. But as of today, OpenTX is certainly not dead. It is certainly stagnating, I would say. And there are people in my comments who got mad when I made the EdgeTX video, and they were like, OpenTX is still working. And if you're happy with the pace of development of OpenTX, if you think that's appropriate and desirable, more power to you. But as we saw with Betaflight, there are a lot of people who are very excited to actually be moving faster than that. Like, think about when you carpool with somebody, and you like to drive fast, and they like to drive slow. And the whole time you're sitting in the passenger seat, you're like, will you frickin' step on the gas? And then when you get to drive, they're like, oh my God, you're going to kill us all. People just have different tempo that they like. EdgeTX is for people who like to move a little faster. All righty. Cool. That's a good discussion. Thank you so much for the opportunity to talk about that. Joseph Toomey, happy birthday, Joseph, and thank you for signing up as a patron. Thank you so much. Doghouse FPV wants to know why aluminum power wiring is not a thing for quads. I don't know. Isn't aluminum inferior to copper? That's what he says. Aluminum is usually considered inferior. Aluminum, Doghouse's argument is that aluminum would be desirable on an aircraft because it would be lighter. The argument is that aluminum wire is 70% lighter than copper wire with the same conductance. Sorry, it's 53% lighter with the same conductance. Pure copper is the worst option. Pure aluminum is a pain in the ass to solder, but copper-clad aluminum seems to take solder just fine. And copper-clad aluminum with the same conductance is 32% lighter. That's an interesting idea, Doghouse. I don't know. I've never really thought about that. I just assume that copper is better. I guess I'm going to ask the chat. Let me ask the chat. Chat, if copper-clad aluminum with the same, pay attention, the same conductance, so it's going to be larger, fatter wires, because aluminum is less conductive than copper. If copper-clad wire with the same conductance is 30% lighter, should we all just switch to copper-clad aluminum wires instead of copper wires? How is aluminum with flexibility? How is aluminum with vibration fatigue and brittleness? Northern Tier FPV says you have to double the size of the wire. Is that true? And the other question is, how much weight would you save? How much of the weight of your quad is your wires? Would you save 20 grams or would you save 5 grams? Less durable, less corrosion resistant. It will crack. Double the diameter. Also, Bad for Life points out, if you have double the diameter of wire, you'll have more weight for the insulation. Is that taken into account on the 32% savings? What about cost? Is aluminum cheap? Aluminum's more expensive than copper. Yeah. These are some of the downsides. How much does the wiring weigh to begin with? I mean, I'm all for saving weight. How much weight would you save? That's the first question I would ask. How much weight would you save? How much of the weight of your quad is made up of wires that you solder on that you could switch? Aluminum is cheaper than copper. Is it cheaper? I actually don't know. I mean, aluminum's not cheap, but copper's not cheap either. Which is more expensive, aluminum or copper? Guillermo Nespolo points out that Elon Musk is using copper-clad aluminum in his cars. Well, there you go. Problem solved. Aber the Ham in the Discord says, you probably got 10 grams of wire total. So saving 30%, you basically save, 3 grams. Doghouse FPV points out that some of us are using copper-clad aluminum by accident. Yeah, this whole thing got started when Doghouse bought some wire and accidentally bought copper-clad aluminum. And this is relevant because if you're using, so let's say you're using 18 gauge copper for your motor wires. If you accidentally bought copper-clad aluminum, it is much higher resistance for the same weight. Joey Whitaker making the argument, aluminum is actually incredibly common. Yes, aluminum is common. Aluminum alloys, aluminum minerals, whatever. The process of extracting the elemental aluminum from the alloys, though, is expensive. That's my understanding. Aluminum is common, but processing aluminum is expensive as hell. So I guess that one takeaway here, guys, is don't accidentally buy copper-clad aluminum wires. Let's see if I can find an example. So like if we look, and I just specifically searched for copper-clad aluminum CCA wire. And we're finding these power wire CCA. If you look at this, it's not obvious that this is an aluminum wire. It just looks like copper because it's copper-clad. But it has significantly higher resistance than a copper wire of the same diameter and length. So don't accidentally buy copper-clad aluminum. Watch out for CCA if you don't mean to buy it. Something to keep in mind. Or as you folks like to say overseas, aluminium. Coelho FPV, thank you for a $10 super chat. I like the QX7. Can I run Edge TX on the X10 and not do the hardware mod? Yes. Yep, any radio that requires the inverter mod to run Crossfire, if you put Edge TX on it, and you need to enable 1-bit mode. So, I think it's called 1-bit. Let me make sure. Yeah, 1-bit mode. There it is in the... Where is it? Can I see in it? Yeah, the hardware menu. There you go. So you don't just flash Edge TX, but you need to go into the hardware menu and change the sample mode to 1-bit. And then you won't have to do the inverter mod anymore. Manuel Bibby says there is no weight saving because aluminum is less conductive. Manuel, he did the math there. He did the math. Oh, wrong scene there. Sorry about that. He did the math and found that copper-clad aluminum of the same conductance was 30% lighter. They did that. He checked that. So there, according to Doghouse, there is a weight savings. Mark Gale. Mark Gale, are you feeling okay? Are you feeling okay? Mark Gale, make an appointment with your optometrist today. Your eyes are not working. Are you feeling all right? Mark Gale says, I just finished 2 packs of my first DJI flights. Analog is way, way better. Did you not get the envelope full of money from DJI this month, Mark? You're supposed to say that DJI is better and analog sucks and is dead to you. I don't know. You're not get on message, Mark. Oh, Mark was joking. Sorry. Never mind. There's no envelopes of money from DJI. That was just a joke. Where's that envelope of money? Oh yeah, there it is. Oh, DJI. Yes. I should actually hang on. I don't want to get Sharpie on the money. DJI pay off money. Okay, great. All right. I just want to make sure. I want to make sure that. Okay. Cool. Oh, there's one every month. There's one every month. I'm not going to write on all of them though. Where do you keep your DJI payoff money? I just put it in an envelope. Matt Hero FPV, thanks for a $5 super chat. Is there a way to fit an M3 flight controller on an M2 frame? Yes. So what you need is some kind of a bushing or a grommet to go into the M3. Generally, you could 3D print it. You could 3D print it. I don't know if there's a M2 to M3 adapter. Like, I think this goes the other way, though. So this goes from an M3 hole down to an M2 screw, but the problem is it's brass. I don't think you would want to use that on your flight controller. So I think you should 3D print it. Let's see if Thingiverse... I bet they have it. Oh, come on, Thingiverse. All right, you're really disappointing me, Thingiverse. As always. Never trust the Thingiverse search function. It's useless. Sure, come on. Come on. Damn it. Come on. I mean, it's just a damn cylinder. Oh, I cannot believe it's this difficult. Someone help me. Carbon Cage says, just drill the frame holes out to M3. Yeah, that's what you should do. That's the answer. That's the answer. I guarantee you could find like a silicone gummy that's like M3 to M2. I guarantee you can find it. I wouldn't use the brass ones on a flight controller. I know this adapter exists, though. Beginning FPV says, take a little bit of heat shrink, or some people use silicon wire insulation and put it on the screw. That'll work. Yeah, just use a sleeve. M2 to M3 sleeve. Try the keyword sleeve. No. Fail. Fail. 12 wire gauge, yeah, I don't know. 12 wire gauge silicon wire insulation. That'll work. Just use some silicon wire insulation. Yeah. Creative Solutions Digital Marketing. Thank you for a big shout out from Croatia. Thank you so much. Logan, I would probably just drill out the frame, though, right? Drill out the frame, just use M3 screws. M3 screws are better anyway. Or just fire up SolidWorks or whatever and just make a freaking cylinder. It's not rocket science. Yeah. If anyone finds an actual STL that works, I would love to post it. But post it in the Discord. Logan Styles, thank you for a $5 super chat. Have you heard anything about Mambo's bricking if updated to 1.3.0? I have not. I have not. I mean, that would be pretty ridiculous, wouldn't it? I haven't. But now I have, and I'll keep an ear out. IDV's making an adapter right now. Give him 2 minutes. Yeah. It's not a bushing if it's threaded. That is true. It doesn't need to be threaded, though. It doesn't need to be threaded. What are your thoughts on the Radiomaster TX16S Minchan Kim edition? Asks Elias Reisinger. I think it is freaking glorious. Where is it? I was trying to find a picture of it. Where is it? I can't find it. Oh well. Yeah, it's freaking glorious. It's a CNC. Hang on, I have a picture somewhere. Hold on. I know where I have a picture of it. I don't want to show you guys the whole conversation, though. One second. So this is a new radio from Radiomaster. It's an improvement, an upgrade of the Radiomaster TX16S. Hello, load the chat, please. Load the chat, please. Get there. Any minute now. Oh my God. There we go. So, is this a good picture to show? Where's the actual Minchan Kim edition? Ah, there it is. Boom. Got it. So this is the Radiomaster TX16S Minchan Kim edition. It is not just a cosmetic upgrade, so you can see it's got the AGO1 gimbals, and this faceplate is CNC metal instead of plastic. So it's basically just a top-tier Radiomaster above and beyond the Radiomaster TX16S. Now, it is $500. Woo! Phew! $500. I mean, if you want to pay $500 for a OpenTX radio, I think this is a great one. These are amazing. The gimbals are amazing. The build quality is pretty good. I mean, it looks pretty exciting. They also have, hold on, let me switch back to my face cam, because like I said, I don't want to show you this whole conversation. But there are, in addition, now I don't know if this is public. I think it is, but if it's not public, then I'm going to just take a slap on the wrist for showing it. But there are, this is coming from Radiomaster. This is not like the Minchan Kim edition. This is the non-Minchan Kim CNC faceplate edition with the AGO1 gimbals and a different colored CNC faceplate, no Minchan Kim branding. Nice. Nice. I don't know what the price on these is going to be, but the Minchan Kim one is like $500. I can't wait to, I want one. I want to try it. I love the AGO one. I'm really looking forward to trying out and seeing how the metal faceplate works. Yeah. Now I am gonna try and use, like I've often said that I don't want to like license a product just for the sake of putting my name on it and making money. I mean, I like making money, but whenever I put my name on a product, it is because I want something from the manufacturer. I want them to make a product that maybe they weren't going to make. Or I will say this, in some cases, they make a great product and I just want to sort of put my weight behind it and get paid money. I mean, let's be honest. So like, I would love to see a Radiomaster with Express LRS built in. Wouldn't that be hot? I'll say it right now. If Radiomaster wants to do a radio with Express LRS built in, that would be the kind of thing that I would help make happen by putting my name on it. That would be exciting. For all I know, they're already doing it and they don't need me, but yeah. Does anybody know if the AGO1 gimbals will fit in a Jumper T16? I mean, are the gimbals between a Jumper T16 and a Radiomaster TX16S interchangeable? That's the question. Does anyone know the answer? Yeah. Internal antenna. MPFPV, I don't know about that. Should it have an internal antenna? Ooh, I wouldn't want to compromise the range with an internal antenna. Then again, the range of Express LS is pretty extraordinary. MK points out that Radiomaster is one of the... Is that it? No, that's Edge TX, MK. That's Edge TX, not Express LRS, right? Elias Reisinger says that the AGO1 gimbals do fit inside the Jumper T16. That a friend of his did it. Radiomaster signed a partnership with Edge TX. Yeah, so if I was to do a radio with Radiomaster, I would want it to run Edge TX. I would want it to have my sound pack on it from the factory. I would want it to have Express LRS inside. Here's a question. Let me ask you. I'm going to put this up as a poll. Hang on. I got to create poll. No, 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 no. That is a blank poll. All right. Yes or no? Hang on. That was a mistake. Hello? Okay. I'm going to create a poll. Ask a question. Which of these would you prefer? Edge TX inside no multi-protocol module. Oh, I got to shorten it up. No MPM. Not Edge TX, I'm sorry. ELRS inside. ELRS and ELRS inside MPM in JR Bay. MPM inside ELRS in JR Bay. Is that all the permutations? Yeah. So I'm going to throw this poll up. I'm curious what you guys think. Bobby Bags wants Ghost inside. Ghost is great. Ghost is great. It's tempting. The reason that here's why I would, so I've just posted a poll and I'm curious what you think. If you were to get a radio, like a Radiomaster TX16S, which would you prefer? Express LRS built in without any multi-protocol module. Express LRS built in with a separate multi-protocol module in the JR Bay. A multi-protocol module inside with Express LRS in the JR Bay, or I guess I should do a fourth one, multi-protocol with no Express LRS, but that's not that interesting to me. The option that you don't see in there would be a 5-in-1 module with both Express LRS and multi-protocol inside, and there are technical reasons why you can't do that. I'm curious what you would prefer to see, though, and we'll let that poll run for a couple minutes and see. Of these options. Now, why not Ghost? Here's why not Ghost. I am a big fan of Immersion RC Ghost, and I have said and still feel that if I had to pick one control link today, it would be Ghost. If I had to pick one, and I'm glad I don't, because I love the ability to play with all of them. But I think Ghost would be the one I would pick. I think Ghost offers the best combination of flexibility to have either long range or low latency depending on your needs. The best combination of ease of use, which is where Ghost wins over Express LRS. Sorry, Express LRS devs, Ghost is easier to use. There's one firmware that you flash to your module, and then the module flashes the receiver, and that's the end of it. Someone said in my comments, well, gosh, Bardwell, I thought you were so technical, and you always say Express LRS is more complicated to use. It's not like it's hard. I can handle it, but it is more complicated to use. It just is. Just the other day, this week, I got that beta FPV module that you see behind me on the table, and I went to bind it to one of my receivers, and it wouldn't bind. And I was like, what the hell? What firmware version is on the receiver? What firmware version is on the module? And then I had to flash them. I had to do a little bit of okay, I'm going to compile version 1.10 and I'm going to flash it to the receiver. And there was just, 15 minutes of screwing around while I tried to figure out what firmware version I needed to compile and flash. And I flashed version 2.0 to the module, but then when you flash 2.0, the screen doesn't work. So I had to flash back to 1. And I'm just saying, I figured it out. It took me 15 minutes. It was no big deal. But with Ghost and Crossfire and Tracer, step one, well, Crossfire and Tracer are having some binding problems right now. Set them aside. In general, you just flash the module, and then you bind the receiver and the firmware updates, and you're done. So I would pick Ghost, but I wouldn't say that Ghost is what I would like to see inside a Radiomaster, and here's why. I see Express LRS as having the potential to dethrone FreeSky as the de facto choice for, I just got into the hobby and I don't know what to pick. And the main reason it's going to do that is because of cost. Why do vendors put FrSky in their bind and fly radios right now? Cost and popularity. Express LRS wins for performance. It's competitive for cost because it's open source and because the devs do all this work for free. And all it needs is popularity. And I don't see Ghost as fitting that role. Ghost is more expensive. So, I don't think manufacturers are going to rush to put Ghost receivers in their bind and flies. Well, they aren't. That's a fact. And I think we will see them rushing to put Express LRS because they're going to be able to do it at low cost once there's demand. And so I would love to see a good quality radio like Radiomaster with Express LRS built in a way that I'm just not as enthused. I wouldn't be as excited. I mean, sure, put Ghost in it too, but I just don't think it's going to be as popular because of the price and because of the lack of bind and flies. So that's my take. That's my hot take. That's my take. How are we doing on this? So we had 5 minutes while I ranted. Let's end the poll and see what the results of the poll are. Express LRS inside multi-protocol module in the JR Bay, 42%. Express LRS inside no multi-protocol module, 24%. Multi-protocol module inside Express LRS in the JR Bay, 33%. So 33% of people want the multi-protocol module in the radio, and 65% of people, roughly, want Express LRS in the radio, either with or without the multi-protocol module. Interesting. Let's see here. A lot of Crossfire fans still out there. Run Puppy FPV. Yeah, Crossfire's great. Crossfire's great. I have personally, I wouldn't put Crossfire in a rig today. Not that there's anything wrong with Crossfire. This is not, but as I build personal rigs for myself, I prefer to put Ghost or Express LRS in them because the 2.4 gigahertz antennas are so much easier to mount. With Express LRS, I have the option of the ceramic antenna for really small builds. And I love the Ghost hybrid for racing builds, for racing rigs, where I don't need like 1 watt of output power. Crossfire, at the extremes, it has more range than Ghost, but Ghost has more range than I ever need and can run at lower latency. Same for Express LRS. Crossfire, I'm tired of chopping Crossfire antennas. And, yeah. That's where I'm at. And Crossfire, if I wasn't inundated with parts because I'm a reviewer and a professional FPV guy, and I had my whole fleet on Crossfire, I wouldn't rip Crossfire out to switch to Express LRS or Ghost. I would just, like all of my quads that have Crossfire in them, they still have Crossfire in them. But all my new ones are either getting Ghost or Express LRS. So that's where I'm at. Welcome, Josh FPV from the Gulf of Mexico. Coelho FPV asks, what's the best version of the Radiomaster TX and the best vendor to buy from? Coelho, the Radiomaster TX16S Max is the most premium version. It has metal buttons. It doesn't have the AGO1 gimbals, and it doesn't have the metal CNC faceplate. So once the Min-Chan Kim version is available for sale, I don't think it's available for sale. This is the Min-Chan Kim Special Edition with the metal faceplate and the AGO1 gimbals. That's going to be the most premium one. The Radiomaster TX16S Max, you can put the AGO1 gimbals in it yourself, and it's pretty damn good. There's a question from Tyler Lavitte. Thank you for a $5 super chat, Tyler. Are you still using the AG01 gimbals with the LED rings? I am. I love those damn LED gimbal rings so much. I have adjusted the throw of the gimbals down to the point where they don't bump. And I am fine. I feel fine flying with it. I don't feel like I've lost any precision. Maybe I'm wrong. But I'm still doing it. I have not ripped those gimbal rings out. I'm sticking with them. I'm keeping them. Every time I turn the radio on and those damn lights light up, I feel like I'm in Blade Runner, and I'm so happy. That's just it. Cool Cat wants to know, what's with the holes near the gimbals? Those are the adjustment screws. These are the AG01 gimbals have front adjustment screws. So 2 of these are for the tension and 2 are for the up-down throw. JRFPV, this radio will be about $500. People in the chat are begging me to do a poll of what control link you use. Okay. I mean, obviously it's not scientific because it's only the people who are watching the stream right now, but you ask and I will deliver. Let's do this. What control link is on most of the quads you actively fly right now? Should I say aircraft? Yeah. You actively fly right now. So, like, if you have a bunch of quads with free sky receivers that you haven't built and don't fly, don't pick that. Free sky, fly sky, spectrum, etc. Let's just lump those together. Crossfire, tracer, ghost. That's it. I can't have any more than 4. I can't have any more than 4. All right, Fly Sky and Free Sky are getting bumped. We'll put ELRS there. I can't have more than 4 options, unfortunately. So it's going to be ELRS, Crossfire, Tracer, and Ghost, right? Okay, let's ask this. People are saying what is your, quote, daily driver control link? We can only have 4 options. And I don't think we can pick... Hang on a second. Let's do this. Strawpoll.com. We're not going to use the Google thing. Let's see if we can make a straw poll. What is your daily driver control link right now? Free Sky, Fly Sky, Spectrum, etc. Crossfire, Tracer, Ghost, ELRS, DJI controller. Any others that should be in there? What else should be in there? Oh, people are saying, let's do this. Hang on. ELRS on everything. No. Damn it. Can I edit this? Edit. Add option. ELRS on whoops only. Well, I don't know how we could do that. No. DJI controller. We're not doing Dragon Link. All right, that's what we're going with. We're going with this. And can I let you guys pick more than once? I don't think so. All right. Oh, dangnammit. Edit title and options. Okay, that's fine. Save changes. No, get rid of that last option. Poll settings. Public. What about... Can I not? Oh, man. Why can I not delete the last blank one? That's annoying. Oh, man. That's annoying. All right, whatever. Let's share this. Copy link. Here we go. That's what we're going with. There's the link to the straw poll. Fly Sky is in there. Free Sky, Fly Sky, Spectrum, Futaba, etc. I wish I could let you pick more than one. I don't see a way to let you pick more than one, though. I don't see a way to let you pick more than one, so... yeah. Anyway, we'll let that run for a minute, and we'll see what comes up. Is it because I already created the poll? Hang on. Oh, no, hang on. I'm delete that one. I see. I'm going to delete this one. Delete poll. Sorry, guys. Because if I create a new poll, I can give you multiple choice. I'm very sorry for jerking you around. What is your daily driver control link right now? Pick, so, Free Sky, Fly Sky, Futaba, Spectrum, etc. 2.4 gigahertz. Crossfire, Tracer, Ghost, ELRS. That was it, right? I mean, no. Picking more than one conflicts with Daily Driver. Again, if you use Express LRS on Tiny Whoops and Crossfire on your 5 inches, those are both your Daily Driver. Create a pin code for live sharing. What is that? Oh, that's cute. All right, I'm going to create this poll now. Create poll. Share. Copy link. All right, here we go. Ah, damn it, I left out DJI. God dang it. Edit title options. Can I add it? Add option. DJI controller. Sorry, guys. Save changes. Okay, we're ready to go. Share. Copy link. Here it is. Boom. So I'm going to put... I mean, for me, technically, it's ELRS, Ghost, and Crossfire. I have quads on all of those. Frankly, it's my DJI controller, too. I'm going to pick all... I mean, I know this is a little bit weird, but all of these are on my daily drivers. I guess I should undo DJI controller. I only fly that on bind and flies that people send me. I would never build one with the DJI controller. I wouldn't do that. But I can say that Crossfire, Ghost, and Express LRS, most of my Crossfire quads are on older ones that I don't fly anymore. So I'll take that off. I'm going to go with Ghost and ELRS and vote. Okay. I know it lets you pick more than one. That's on purpose. I can vote. Why can't I vote? Of course I can vote. That's my vote. I get a vote. Of course I can vote. All right. The poll is posted. I will post that in the Discord also. Let me post that in the Discord also so you guys can vote. We'll let that run for a while. We'll see what happens. Show results. Auto refresh. Oh, I'm not going to show the results, though. You guys can see the results. We'll see how they go in. If you wrap Crossfire antennas with thick insulation, does it affect the signal? Leo Ponce. Leo Ponce, anytime there is something very close to an antenna, it affects the antenna's propagation. It depends on the, is it called the dielectric constant? It depends on the propagation speed of the RF signal in the material. But long story short, yeah, having plastic right against the antenna does affect it. In many cases, the effect is minimal, especially when you have a control link as strong as strong as Crossfire, but it will make a difference. People are pointing out that I left FreeSky R9 off. I mean, that was an accident, but I'm not mad about it. Oh, this is super interesting. I'm not going to show the results yet, but it's super interesting. Now, the other question is, if you fly Express LRS, what hardware do you use? Let me get a super chat here from Dan636 before I forget. Dan636, thank you so much for a $10 super chat. I have a Micro Apex with 4-inch arms, 45 amp ESC. What motor would you recommend? 4-inch. 1804 3500 kV is actually pretty decent. If you're going with 4-inch or 3.5-inch, what about the FPV Cycle 2104 motors? 21 millimeter. The FPV Cycle 21 millimeter motor, I think, is going to be really nice in that for that prop and that weight. Are you under 250 grams? If you're heavier, if you're getting up into the 300 grams, then maybe 2104 wouldn't be a good choice for you. Maybe the 23 millimeter motor would be a better choice. So for a lighter 3.5-inch or 4-inch, then absolutely the 21 millimeter motor is really good. If you're getting into the heavier, the 300 to 350 grams, then you should be looking at like the FPV Cycle 23 millimeter motor. Both of those are going to be very good. And now this one is aimed towards lightweight 5-inch props. But for if you need a little more torque, here's John Goblin. John Goblin looks like he's flying. Are those 5 inches? Are you flying 5 inches? No, those are 4 inches, right? John Goblin. Those are 21 millimeter motors on a 250. Oh, that's a 250. Those are 5 inches, but it's a 250, so it's real light. That's a nice build, John Goblin. 5.1 inch, but it's a 250, so it's ultra light. Very nice. Yeah. So 21 millimeter motors are great for 3.5 or 4 inch, especially if it's lightweight. As you get up into heavier weight, you might think about the 23 millimeter motors. Excellent choices. Let's take a look at the results of this poll. We're only 5 minutes into the poll. Crossfire still kicking ass. Free Sky, Fly Sky, Futaba, Spectrum, a lot of people still flying that. Express LRS, I mean, given how new it is, Express LRS rocketing up the poll. Honestly. Really impressive result. Because let's face it, a lot of the Crossfire and the Free Sky, Fly Sky people is just people who've been using it forever and haven't tried something new or haven't switched. Express LRS crushing Tracer. And Tracer and Ghost, not quite neck and neck, but pretty close. And then the DJI controller right in there, frankly. Very, very interesting. Very interesting poll. I mean, I think what we can take from this is that Express LRS is doing real damn good for how new it is. And it'll be interesting. I mean, Crossfire has 3 years easily of momentum behind it. And that shift to 2.4 gigahertz, can we point out that shift to 2.4 gigahertz, in my opinion, started when Ghost released, and then TBS went, us too, we've been working on Tracer, and whipped Tracer out. And I'm willing to bet that Express LRS was on 2.4 gig before Ghost released, but nobody knew it existed. No offense, Express LRS devs. I think we're going to see a movement to 2.4 gig and away from 900 megahertz as time goes on. And I think that Crossfire number is going to get smaller, probably slowly. It's also interesting that Tracer is beating Ghost because Ghost beats Tracer on paper in so many ways, except that Tracer outputs 1 watt and Ghost outputs 350 milliwatts. So if you insist on using FLRC modulation, Tracer wins for range. So Aerobrat wants to know why you wouldn't use a 1404 or a 1407 or a 1507 motor for that 4-inch build. You can, Aerobrat. Those are fine motors, but I think that a lot of people would rather have a little bit bigger, torqueier motor than like a 14 or a 15 millimeter. Severin Haggerty asks, would it be worth it to switch to a different control link if you're on Crossfire? I don't, like I said, the quads that I have on Crossfire, I'm not ripping it out. I'm just going to keep flying it until I'm done with them. So no, I would not say that you should rip out Crossfire just to switch to something else. 661 FPV correctly points out that 350 milliwatts Ghost using LoRa will go further than 1 watt FLRC using Tracer. That is true. But some people, like if you look at the modulation methods that Ghost allows you, the fastest one, which has telemetry and 250 hertz, or maybe it's 500 hertz, I can't remember, I think it's 250. The fastest one that has telemetry and the lowest latency requires the use of FLRC. That's why Tracer uses FLRC, because they didn't want to make you make any compromises. And if you choose to use that, like right now, I use on my Ghost rigs, I use the race modulation, which is low raw, 160 hertz with telemetry. That's the one I use. And if I want to go to 250 hertz, I have to either compromise on range or I have to give up telemetry. I have no choices. If I was using Tracer, I could do 250 hertz with telemetry at 1 watt and get better range. But I would rather use LoRa at 160 hertz and not have quite as low a latency. It would be nice if Ghost could go up to 1 watt and solve this problem for us. Run Puppy FPV says, looking at the poll, I'd say Trappy is sleeping soundly. Is he? Is he? I mean, on the one hand, Crossfire... Here's the thing. You have to be really careful as an established player not to rest on your laurels too much. I'm not going to talk about Crossfire here and Tracer and TBS because I don't want to get accused of starting shit. I'll talk about myself. I did something for the last 5 years to get to the top of FPV YouTube. Okay? I'm not bragging. I'm just, that's a thing. That's a true thing. Whatever I did got me here. But as soon as I stopped looking to the future and saying, what am I doing now and what will I be doing in the future to continue to earn that success? As soon as I stop doing that, someone else is going to come along and eat my lunch. Because the things that you do today that make you successful will stop working as the world changes out from underneath you. Spectrum, Horizon Hobby, they created the first digital spread spectrum RC control link, and they kicked the snot out of all the guys still using 72 megahertz and became the standard. Woo! Good for them. Where are they today? I mean, obviously, they're still in business. Things changed to mean that the value they provided, other people came along and did it better, did it cheaper, or did other things. Now, so let's look at, now, okay, so the point is that just because you were successful for the last 5 years and have earned a humongous market share doesn't mean that you will continue to be successful. So now let's apply that to this poll. Crossfire, let's zoom in on the poll. The success of Crossfire in this poll I would argue that that represents the last 3 to 5 years of success that TBS has earned. And if I was the owner of TBS, I would be looking at which way the wind is blowing and thinking, the wind is blowing towards 2.4 gigahertz. That's where people are going. That's where and I don't mean 2.4 gigahertz, free sky, etc. I mean Ghost, Tracer, Express LRS. People are moving away from Crossfire. That's where I think the market is going. Or that's where I would be afraid the market is going. Because if the market is going to continue to buy Crossfire, then I'm fine. I would just continue to earn my business. But if the market is moving away from 900 megahertz, then I'm in trouble. Because if the market is moving away from 900 megahertz, then I'm in trouble. All that market share that I earned for the last 5 years that went into Crossfire is a sea change in the market happening. That means that I'm going to lose that over time. It's going to take a while. But am I on the downhill slope? That's the thing. Am I riding the crest of the wave up, or has the wave broke and I'm riding it down and I need to catch the next wave? And I think that is happening. That has begun to happen with 900 megahertz versus 2.4 gigahertz. I feel like the 900 megahertz wave is breaking. People are going to be flying Crossfire for years. Don't get me wrong. People used film cameras for years. I'm not saying Crossfire is as antiquated as a film camera. I'm just making an analogy that when you have a gigantic user base built into a technology, when that wave crashes, you will ride that momentum for a long time, but ultimately the balloon is deflating and you need to catch the next wave. And the next wave is 2.4 gigahertz. And TBS is not dominant in 2.4 gigahertz the way that they are dominant in 900 megahertz. So I actually don't think, if I was Trappy, I would look at this chart and think my job here is done. I can go to bed safe and sound. I think I'd be like, what am I going to do to show that Tracer is better than Express LRS? That's what I'd be thinking. And I would open up frickin' LoRa modulation. Obviously. And what do I know? Okay. Good discussion. Oh, that was really fun for me. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you really enjoyed it. I did. I wish Ghost was more popular. Damn, I think it deserves to be, and I don't know why it's not. I don't know why it's not. I just don't know. Like, I get it that Ghost, TBS has just a huge amount of marketing and mind share, and Immersion RC just doesn't have it. No matter how much I think they might deserve it, they just don't. They have passionate fans, but they just don't have the larger mind share. But it's weird that Express LRS has gotten so much popular than Ghost. There you go. Carbon Cage, what is Slat FPV asking? I've been ranting. I've been having a fun time ranting. Where is Slat's question? I'm looking. I'm scrolling back for it. What's Slat? Bardwell. Are you down for a weekend rip session? Your neck of the woods? Yes. Yes, Slat. If you're in my neck of the woods, yeah, by all means, let's rip. Let's rip. I want to see some Slat DVR so I can see what his flying really looks like without that nasty hyper smooth messing it up. I want to see Slat FPV without the auto tune. See how he sings. I bet he's probably pretty good. Yeah, Slat, for sure, man. If you're in my area, I'm sorry I couldn't make it up to see you at the time. I want to go rip your spots because your spots are better than anything we have here. But yeah, absolutely, man. It's such a weak argument. I'm just starting shit. Obviously, he's a great pilot, and he's going to be great with or without. I just like to pick on people. Slat, it is not quite cold yet. It is days in the 50s, nights in the 30s. That's where we're at right now. That's probably pretty cold for you being from Vegas. You want to wait till the spring, Slat? Whatever, man. It's up to you. You want to come? Slat, I got to tell you, if you come to Knoxville, I'd rather go to Atlanta and fly with you in Atlanta. Atlanta has the bomb spots. You've been to Atlanta, I know. You know. You come to Knoxville, you could fly my house, and then there's not a lot of, like, great spots in Knoxville. No offense, Knoxville people. I mean, we have our little spots, but yeah. Atlanta's better, obviously. Woo. I was with you at Rampage. All right, man, come on down. Do you guys know who, do you guys know this guy? Who am I looking for? Hang on. Andrew Callahan. That's it. Do you guys know who Andrew Callahan is? Andrew Callahan, he used to have the channel All Gas No Brakes. And he lost that channel through some shady business things that happened. And now he's working on a channel called Channel 5, but it's basically him, Andrew Callahan. He goes around and he interviews interesting people. And is a real cool sort of almost a Hunter Thompson gonzo journalism vibe. I'm sure I'm not the first to make that comparison. And he did this video. I don't think it was actually him who filmed it. It was Nick Mosher who filmed it. This video is a 17-minute mini documentary about these guys called the Hoff Twins. Now, I don't know who the Hoff Twins are. That's not the point. The point is the Hoff Twins are interesting people, and he went and he followed them around and interviewed people they knew and just made this little mini documentary about them. And I thought, wouldn't it be cool to do that with people in the FPV community? To make just like a 15-minute mini documentary. Like, for example, the reason I got started thinking about this was somebody asked me, why isn't Jesse Perkins in the Flow State movie? And my honest reaction was, yeah, why isn't Jesse Perkins in the Flow State movie? Damn! Jesse Perkins would be amazing. He's amazing. And I don't know. I can't tell you the answer. Like, the decision about who was going to be in the movie was a long and convoluted one with a lot of bulleted lists and ordering and sorting and who can we get and who's on the schedule and when can we go there. And somehow or another, Jesse didn't end up making the cut. But I, in retrospect, damn, yeah, Jesse Perkins is a rock star. And I thought, wouldn't it be nice to like get somebody like Andrew Callahan to go follow Jesse Perkins around for a week and make a little mini documentary about him? Wouldn't that be amazing? And in fact, I actually emailed Andrew Callahan. He hasn't emailed me back. Maybe he never will. I emailed Andrew Callahan from All Gas No Brakes, and I was like, "Hey, do you want to make a little documentary about this guy?" We'll see if he gets back to me. I'm trying to think of who else would be interesting to just like follow around, like slice of life. Cyclimbo says, who made the number one spot? I can actually answer that question, Cyclimbo. The number one spot of people who had to be in Flow State, the FPV drone documentary, was Mr. Steele. And I'm not just pandering when I say that. I said to James, I said, look, the very first thing that you should do, because I said to James, one of the problems that we're going to have if we try to make this film is that some people will think it's a Rotor Riot production. And if they think it's a Rotor Riot production, they won't want to be a part of it. And I said, so the only honest way to address that criticism is for it not to be a Rotor Riot production. And I said, what that means is that, James, you are going to have complete creative control over the film. You will decide who you interview. You will decide how to cut it. And you will be the one who comes up with the sort of structure of the film. And I said, I will still be executive producer. I want to help make the film. I will pay for the film. And I mean, obviously I'm going to have opinions, but ultimately it's going to be your film. And that way there can be no, there's no dishonesty. There's no misleading about who is producing the film. It's SOG Productions who is producing the film. And I said to him, the very first person that you need to interview has to be Mr. Steele. Because if you make an FPV documentary and Steele isn't in it, it has no validity. And we can all think of other people who are prominent in FPV and who should be in the film, but I just felt like without him, no one would take it seriously. And so I said, James, the very first person you have to go interview. And if you can't get Steele to sit down with you, then the whole film is canceled. We're not going to do it unless you can. And James, unfortunately, Steele was super gracious. Steele spent hours being interviewed with James and was very, very supportive, agreed to be on the poster. But there's no, if you asked me who was in the number 2 spot, I would probably not be able to tell you. But I can absolutely tell you Steele was the number 1 spot. Just because of who he is in FPV. An FPV documentary without him would be pointless. Not that I don't want to sound like I'm saying that he's the only person in FPV who matters. You could make a documentary about Jesse Perkins or Bachgrinder or any of a million other pilots, and it would be its own validity and worthiness and interest. But if you're going to make a documentary about FPV as a whole, today, he has to be in it. If he's not, then it's not a documentary about FPV. It's a documentary about something else, and that's what we wanted. Anyway, that's number 1. But then I got to thinking, there's all these other people who are interesting, and I want to just get a camera and go follow them around. I want to follow Jesse Perkins around while he goes to races and runs his business and make a video, make a 15-minute mini documentary about him. He's such a cool person. Slat, Bachgrinder, Cricket. Think about all these interesting people. Bubby. Just all of them have their own little story to tell. I would love to be able to put this stuff out. Anyway. So I emailed Andrew Callahan and asked him if he wanted to help make, because he's so good, and I would just love an opportunity to work with him. We'll see if he emails me back. You cannot currently see Flow State the film. Aaron Ciotti. Why am I supporting Aaron Ciotti so much? Try all FPV. Try all. Well, first of all, Ciotti is just cool and knowledgeable. The longer I am in FPV, the bigger FPV gets around me, and the harder it is for me to know everything there is to know about all aspects of FPV. There's a lot of things about cinelifters that I don't know. There's a lot of things about microquads that I don't know. And there's no way for me to know all of those things. It's too much. So one of the things that I do is when I meet somebody and they're knowledgeable about those things, and in addition to that, they're just cool and kind and helpful, and we vibe, I try to latch onto them, and I'm like, hey, I need to be able to suck information out of your brain every now and then. But I wouldn't, obviously it's not just about that. It's somewhat about that. I first noticed Ciotti because he was super knowledgeable about micros. But I first noticed Ciotti just because we met at Quad Camp and he was cool and I liked him. And we just got along and we vibed. But I noticed, I rely on him to help me with knowledge and information about micros, at least. He streams after me, so I mention him because he streams at 3 p.m. He's probably going to be streaming today, right? Siati, are you out there? I just like him. Why do you support him so much? I don't know. I just think he's cool. He has a good personality. I mean, I try to find people to support and promote and use my platform to help raise them up. And, you know, anyway. Well, we are going to be finishing pretty soon. Run Puppy FPV hates it when you have to join someone's Patreon to be acknowledged. Run Puppy, I don't know if you know, but I also ignore my patrons over on the right side of the screen. I haven't been reading their stuff either. Yeah. I got this question from Psych Limbo. Run Puppy, I acknowledge you, Run Puppy. If you were talking about me, I acknowledge you, my friend. Here we are. Yeah. Siati's answers to most questions is to join his Patreon. I see. You're talking about Siati. I mean, I don't begrudge anybody that. I mean, Siati, I was very fortunate that when I went full-time, I already had enough success to feel relatively secure. I started for like 3 or 4 years. I worked my day job, 2 years for sure. I think 3. Anyway, whatever. I worked my day job and did FPV on the side and was able to build a following, giving it all away for free. Siati made the shift to FPV full-time. I think he lost his day job and made the change really abruptly and is in a little bit more of a scrappy place. So if he feels like the thing to do is to insist that people join his Patreon, I mean, ultimately, it isn't. You wouldn't be mad when a restaurant asks you to pay for your dish after you eat it. And I don't think you should be mad if somebody wants you to join their Patreon before they'll give you too much of their time. That's their call. Obviously, you also don't have to eat at the restaurant if it's not your style. But I don't hold that against him, if that's true. I think he's pretty helpful, regardless. But that's just me. Ricardo Ferreira disagrees. Siati helps always, regardless of patron or not. Yeah. Siati is streaming today. Usually he's here in this chat to promote his stream. Here we go. Yeah, I've seen his streams. It sure seems like he helps people on his streams. Anyway. Well, that's going to do it for this stream, though. I hope you've enjoyed it. I have certainly enjoyed it. I will be back Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. I'll be back Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern and doing another stream for you and throughout the week. But we're going to wrap up here. If you want to keep streaming, Siati is going to be streaming. I'm posting the link. There it is. You guys have a great day. Thank you for watching my stream. Thank you for supporting me. Oh, everybody in the chat is sticking up for Siati and saying that you're wrong. Run Puppy. Everybody disagrees with you, Run Puppy, and says that Siati helps for free. Fair enough. I don't know. I didn't want to judge. What size rubber bands do you use on your batteries? It is number 64. Number 64. Thank you, Ian, for promoting my Patreon. That's going to do it, guys. We're going to wrap up. It's 3 p.m. Y'all have a great day. Siati, have a great stream. And I'll see you guys on Monday. Happy flying, everybody.